Good evening and welcome to the Nevis newscast for today, Thursday, January 28th, 2016. I'm Bronte Swanston Hendrickson.
I am happy that we have done what was necessary to get this done, and I'm even more happy for the development that is happening up about a quarter mile from us.
The Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Chairman of the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, NHLDC. The corporation is facilitating the construction of a bridge over a gut in the vicinity of the Cohoons housing development. Minister Jeffers explained what he expects will be the long-term benefit of making the area more easily accessible.
Employment would be generated there, or is being generated, since that project has started already. Materials will be bought, building supplies would be procured as well too. So everyone within the economy would get some benefit from that particular project. And by the same token, the persons who would have bought lands across the bridge here, they in turn would be able to benefit from this particular project and making the access possible for them. This certainly has made it easier for at least the developer at the top to proceed with his development, and also it has made it possible for us to make the lands available across the bridge here, 2 acres of land that is. So I believe about 6 to 7 persons would be able to own a piece of those 2 acres there and build themselves a dream home at some point in the near future.
The construction of the bridge is the result of a partnership between the NHLDC and the private developer.
We do have 2 acres of land just across the bridge here from us, and we have in recent months made those lands available to persons in Cotton Ground and Banscott who live in the area and want to stay in the area, and irrespective of what they wanted to purchase those lands. But because we sell land at a concessionary rate at the corporation, it would have been difficult to recoup enough money from those sales to build this bridge, which is significant in cost. So what we did, we would have partnered with a developer, Leighton Thomas, who is doing some villa condo type development about a quarter mile up from us. We would have partnered with him, and that is why last time we were here I mentioned the word or the term private-public partnership.
Minister Jeffers says he welcomes this type of collaboration.
I want to encourage this type of development throughout Nevis in terms of partnering with the private sector. With that partnership, there's a win-win situation, and all of the risk and expenses are borne by both parties.
Chairman of the NHLDC Board of Directors, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. With help from the United Kingdom, the Nevis Island Administration has embarked on a project to digitize the historical archives. The project, which began earlier this month, is expected to be quite extensive and has begun with regards at the High Court. Leading the team are Andy Pearson and David Small from the UK Public Library.
Well, essentially we are funded by the British Library's Endangered Archives programme, which is a global project which looks at documentary resources, all across the world, everywhere from Asia to the Caribbean to America, anywhere really where there is material which is considered to be valuable and under some kind of threat. And I think the fact that we've obtained quite a sizable grant from this actually to emphasise the point that what you have in terms of your historical records is a really kind of it's important information. It's a really useful, important resource.
The courthouse records, which are being digitized, date from 1705 onwards, and Pearson notes that they are beautifully preserved.
It's deed books, it's wills, it's that kind of thing. And I think, as we'll see when we look at the documents, they're beautifully preserved, intricately written, and they are quite literally a goldmine of information about Nevis's history, and not just kind of white people's history, written by white people for white people. This is about ordinary Nevisians' daily life, dating back 2 or 3 centuries.
Shaniqua Joshua and Delvorn Clark are the technicians using specialized photography equipment to capture the various images for the digitization process.
We think, roughly speaking, that's about 70 to 75,000 individual photographs. These are going to be migrated onto hard drives and onto the NIA servers, and then as well as having kind of a backup, a safety backup if anything were to happen to these volumes, we've also then got material which can be accessed on computer screens, within the library, in the courthouse, a research tool which allows people to look at the information without having to handle books which are, to be honest, in many cases, probably too fragile to be touched too many more times.
Small says the process to fund this project began in the early 2000s when they realized the importance of the information and how very fragile the materials are.
It's part of world history, Atlantic history as well, so it's an important collection of records, and the only other collection of records that's comparable is in the UK and the UK National Archives. So it's important that people have access to this information because it's people's family history, it's their background as well. Personally, I've been working to try and get this project up and running since 2005, I think. So I am extremely grateful to the present Nevis Island administration for doing it.
2 officers from the Nevis Public Library Service are also working with the team to undertake the digitisation of the records. The St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla Trading and Development Company TDC on Tuesday, January 25th, donated supplies to the Department of Education on Nevis. Representing the company was Marketing Officer at TDC St. Kitts, Yareni Morton.
We are here to give a donation of some books, some well-needed educational material to the Department of Education. At the TDC Business Center, we are extremely grateful to be able to provide this opportunity to students. We know the importance of education. We understand just how critical it is, especially in this time. And sometimes we have books that are revised and we have them there sitting on the shelves doing nothing, where they could be of benefit and of help to the schools and the ministry and the Department of Education. Okay, this is a symbol of our relationship that we intend to continue and to strengthen between the TDC Business Center and the Department of Education in Nevis. We are very excited. We are very happy to be able to present you with this, and we hope that this can go a long way to ease the strain of the Department of Education in Nevis.
Accepting on behalf of the Department of Education was Principal Education Officer Palsy Wilkin.
We are elated for this timely gift. Education is an expensive venture, and whenever we can have partners partnering with us, we are extremely grateful. Mr. Lofton Herbert, he called me and he indicated, Mrs. Wilkin, we have some books on our shelves and we would like to donate those books to the schools. I had no idea that it would be such a variety and the number of books. These are boxes and boxes of books. These are books which are very good resources for our children. They will be used as supplementary texts in the classroom. For this, we are extremely grateful.
Also present at the handing over ceremony were manager of the TDC Business Center on Nevis, Lofton Herbert, and cashier Casey Sargent, as well as education officers and teachers.
On behalf of all of us teachers from both the primary schools and the high schools, I'd like to thank the TDC group of companies for this timely donation of these books. I know that it will not just benefit the students, but the teachers as well. Once again, I would like to say thank you.
Still to come.
It is quite fitting that we fully launched the Nevis Island Youth Council in the beginning of Youth Month.
The details after this break. Welcome back. The Nevis Youth Council, the representative body of the island's young people, will function under a new name, the Nevis Island Youth Council, following the revamping of the non-governmental organization. The Youth Council has been inactive for the last few months, and the Department of Youth and Sports has put in place a steering committee to amend the council's constitution, among other activities. Michelle Slack is a member of that steering committee.
The constitution that we met, that was used by the Nevis Youth Council, was more geared towards incorporating youth groups and organizations. It was exclusive of individuals. As a result of that, we thought more to widen the agenda and the scope of the organization to include individuals who are not a part of a youth group or youth organization. The objectives also of the former Nevis Youth Council were more geared towards fostering interpersonal relationships among persons who were part of that group, and so we are now just widening the scope of the objectives of the organization. And I was reluctant when I said Nevis Youth Council because we are still the Nevis Youth Council. However, in our rebranding efforts, we are rebranding as the Nevis Island Youth Council.
The steering committee is chaired by Kamara Lee.
While we have been doing things behind the scenes and we will be going public in the upcoming months, we are hoping to have an election the last week of March. We haven't confirmed the date as yet, and the reason for that is because as I would have said, April is celebrated as Youth Month, and we think that it is quite fitting that we fully launch the Nevis Island Youth Council in the beginning of Youth Month, at the beginning of Youth Month.
Lee says the steering committee will be embarking on a number of initiatives as it seeks to bring the Youth Council back on stream.
You will be seeing a lot about the Nevis Island Youth Council on social media. In addition to that, recently a number of the primary and secondary schools have been revamping their school councils. So that is an initiative that we are hoping to have some input or partnership on, where we will be going into the schools and helping the executives for the school councils help to train them into becoming effective young leaders. In addition to that, another initiative is a social media platform called Someone Once Told Me. It's an initiative where we get young persons to take videos of themselves, or we film them talking about values or positive things that were passed on to them, and we will be showcasing these hopefully on social media as well as on local television.
According to Lee, there are also plans for a community drive to encourage young people to join the Youth Council.
We will be going into the different communities to have meetings with the young people to help them to get involved and eventually become members of the Nevis Island Youth Council. But we want our parishes, the young people in our parishes, to be active, and all of that feeds into the Nevis Island Youth Council. As I would have said initially, we are the voice for the young people on the island of Nevis, and if they're having an issue or is there any way that we can reach out to them, then that information will feed into us, and then we can then take some sort of action or support them.
Young people between the ages of 16 and 35 who are interested in becoming members of the Nevis Island Youth Council can contact any member of the steering committee, which also includes Latoya Jones, Verna Grant, Vijay Harinarain, Anson Keynes, Alan Powell, Reynaldon Bartlett, Joy Napier, Nelia Jones, and Tamika Vifias. And finally, the Nevis Literary and Debating Society continues to solicit the support of the public as it raises funds to offset costs of travel and accommodation as the society prepares to participate in the 44th Leeward Islands Debating Competition in St. Martin. This year, Nevis's debate team will consist of Neela Jones, Nicole Zakers-Barry, Gabriella Brantley, Cheslin Meloni, Shaquem Paris, and Kajal Smithson. Camille Wilkin is the president of the Nevis Literary and Debating Society.
We sent out many letters to individuals in the general public asking for a generous donation towards a worthy cause, and the Literary and Debating Society has been something that I think everyone has had first-hand experience, whether just participating in fundraisers when they were in sixth form or actually being in the club. So I think that it is important that we give back to something that is contributing to our human resources, and it is a very good thing to, give back to. So far, we have had a few persons who have made donations to us, namely Mr. Eric Evelyn, Ms. Sandra Maynard and Mr. Thorne Brown. I would like to thank them for making such generous donations, and we also have many other persons that have not yet responded to our letters, but we are looking forward to your cooperation.
Public Relations Officer Carice Elliott explains how donations can be made to the society.
We have been working extremely hard, but as you know, we cannot do this all by ourselves. So we have sponsorships. We have the bronze sponsor, which is $100 to $300, the silver sponsor, which is $400 to $600, the gold sponsor, which is $700 to $900, and the platinum sponsor, which is $1,000 and up.
Persons can also contribute by making a deposit to the CSS Literary and Debating Society's account at the RBTT Bank. Meantime, the general public is urged to support athletes of the Charlestown and Gingerland secondary schools and the Nevis Sixth Form College during the Secondary Schools Relay Festival, which is slated for tomorrow, Friday, January 29th at the El Camino T. Willett Park. The meet is expected to feature under 15 and under 20 male and female teams doing battle in the 4x100 and the 4x200 meter relays, as well as the sprint and distance medleys. Tomorrow's Secondary Schools Relay Festival is scheduled to kick off at 2 p.m. at the El Camino T. Willett Park. And that concludes this evening's presentation of the Nevis Newscast. I'm Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Thank you for viewing. Good night.